everybody for being here tonight. So my topic tonight is breaking the cycle of homelessness. And so I want to talk a little bit about the homeless or the unsheltered, because honestly, I think if you're wanting to address these types of issues that we see in our society, you have to understand that the homeless population in our society is a part of our community. And all the solutions that we could ever come up with, I believe, begin here, not here. And you have to understand that the people that you see that are homeless are just like you in the ways that matter most. So when we're tackling the issues that are affecting their lives, we have to understand that you want to attack the causes, not just the symptoms. Because compassion isn't permissiveness, as a good friend of mine once said. So we have to be compassionate in our approach to solving the issues that the homeless are dealing with in their lives, and also understand they're a part of us, they're a part of our community. And when I say it starts here, not here, meaning that first you have to care, to have compassion. And a lot of people look at the homeless population as kind of an other group, other than us, if you aren't homeless. And that, I think, in Bob Goff's book, Everybody Always, in the prologue, he states that we are all tied for first place in God's mind. And I think it's that type of thinking about people who might be in an other group than you helps us to want to help, to look for ways, and to feel that compassion that then, once you can have ideas that can actually help them and put it into practice. Because obviously you can't give your heart away, so you need to think of things to do. So what I'd like to talk about is some issues that affect the homeless and some solutions that people have come up with because they care and because they put their skills and abilities to work to come up with solutions. In King County, there in Seattle, there are roughly 12,000 homeless, and over half of those are unsheltered. And right now we're spending roughly a little over $16,000 per homeless person in King County. Now, you could do a lot with that money. Mostly what's going to, as far as for the unsheltered, they get temporary shelter, maybe a mat in a shelter somewhere for the night. But those are temporary solutions that don't solve a lot of that don't address the causes of the problems. But there was a guy, I'll tell you a story about this guy who was an architect. And this guy was an architect in Seattle, and he was designing homes for people who were paying millions of dollars for their homes. And this guy living in Seattle, as most Seattleites do, they walk around the streets and they end up talking with their neighbors, and some of those are homeless folks. And he started talking with some of the homeless folks in his neighborhood and came to find out that those were some of the deepest and most meaningful conversations he was having in his life. So the mix of experience he had, the skill set he had, the work that he was doing, that he was passionate about, and meeting these people in this situation and finding out that he began to really feel for them and started to think about ways he could help. This guy, at first he was just a photojournalist. He started a Facebook page called Facing Homelessness on Facebook. He would just take photos of homeless people in Seattle. It turned out, though, that he ended up using his architectural skills to come up with a project called the Block Project. And what this does is a block, meaning a residential block in King County, can adopt basically a homeless person, and they will build a tiny home for them in that residential block, and with buy-in from everybody on the block, and they can build that. You could basically do this for every homeless person that's unsheltered in King County for less than what it costs to currently for the money being spent on them in less than 2 years of that money. They could be given a home in a block where they live among the community's there to support them, because again, these are people we're talking about. So the solutions need to be people solution, not just paper solutions where you get the numbers right, because what we see is the system we have today is not working. We see the numbers and they're not working. What we see as a result on our streets in Seattle, in Spokane, in Tacoma, we see that the current system is not working. So it's ideas like that that come from a heart of feeling compassion for these people in our community. That's where the real solutions are going to come, those voluntary solutions. And what we also find in Seattle is that the law enforcement is a part of this. Because we are a community, we have to look at both sides of this coin, meaning that the people in the communities that are wanting to help also need to feel safe in the sense that their property needs to be safe in their minds. And what you end up with in a lot of these places where there's high homelessness populations is that a lot of these people are dealing with health issues like mental issues and drug addiction issues. And people in that situation, they will act in ways that can harm others because they're not thinking like they care about those others. It's because of the situations in their lives, but those other people that want to help them need to feel safe in that. So what Seattle has done, the first of its kind project in Seattle called LEAD, which is Law Enforcement Assistance and Diversion. They've gotten the police, the law enforcement involved in this, and what they do is instead of treating the people with addictions on the streets as a criminal justice issue, they treat it as a health issue. And instead of incarcerating them, they bring them into treatment, inpatient treatment. And what's happened is that the recidivism rate has gone way down. The result, these people, there's less drug overdoses, less deaths because of drug overdoses, and these people are getting help. They're getting into shelter, they're getting jobs in some cases, but it's better for everyone, for the community and for those people. But that is another situation where you have the community coming up with solutions. And again, it's solutions that come from a heart of compassion. The people that started that had compassion for those people in their community, and they found a solution motivated by that compassion. And that program is working very well. And so what I wanted to tell you tonight in breaking the cycle of homelessness is that we have to first start here. There is a call out there from our community. If you live in a city or community where there's a homeless population, there is a call for us to do something, those of us who are not homeless, who have more means to help. The answer to that call comes from in here. And if you can see the people in this way and not otherize them, so to speak, then you can begin to think of things that could help, things you have, skills you have, like the architect. And this is where our solutions will come from. If you're interested, you can Google the Block Project or LEAD, Law Enforcement Assistance Diversion, to see some of these things that are going on out there that are actually solving some of our problems. And I want to just encourage you also to look around, see what you have available to you, see the people in your community that are in need, and once you develop that compassion for them, ideals will come, and use your skills and experiences to help, and we can make this a much better place to be for everybody. So thank you very much, and I will end my talk there and go on to the next.